And with that, welcome. Ren, what are we, what is this? What is this, Ren? Please elaborate.
I suppose this is my job of introducing. Hello, and welcome to the Best Girls Podcast. I am your host, Ren Best Girl, and with me is the other host, JadeNovanis. Say hi, Jade.
I'm JadeNovanis. I stream stuff.
Indeed, you do. And for this very first episode of The Best Girls, what have we decided for our topic to be today?
Our topic for today is Disney's Marvel's Cinematic Universe and why Ren hates it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ren, why do you hate the MCU exactly?
So, cut back to simpler time when a movie was just a movie. You could watch it and enjoy it, and that would be the end of it. You wouldn't have to think about it unless you wanted to. You wouldn't have to have the existing context or knowledge going into it. It's just a one and done, with the exception of sequels and such. Movies were just that. They were movies, sometimes series.
Like,
And then the MCU happened.
yeah, like to put it into perspective, what was like before Iron Man, which came out May 2nd, 2008. What was like the biggest movie at that time? Like in terms of like cultural zeitgeist, was it like Transformers 1? That came out like June of '07. Like I can't think of until the MCU happened. I can't think of like another like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but even then that's still like superhero, shenanigans. I can't really think of
Lord of the Rings?
I guess. But like even then like it's something you have to take into account, especially back then. That like stuff like Lord of the Rings was like super niche back then. Because like Lord of the Rings made money and people knew about it, right? But not to the same level as like people know Game of Thrones now, right? Or the MCU now. So like it's so insanely different of a sphere talking about '08 and Iron Man 1.
Nerd nerd culture was drastically different, and for better and for worse, the MCU changed that. Back then, people could tell you they knew who like Superman and Spider-Man were. People knew what comics were, but could the layman tell you like the difference between Marvel comics and Detective Comics? I mean, maybe, but
Like at most they might have known like, oh, Spider-Man is from like the peppy, Marvel's like where Spider-Man's from. It's all like peppy and nice, and Detective Comics is like Batman and Superman and the Justice League, right? Cuz like that's another thing from that time period. Like the DC animated stuff was everywhere. Like sure there were like Spider-Man shows here and there that were pretty good, but like I grew up with Batman the animated series, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock. Like I grew up with those shows, right? And of course, Transformers and all that jazz stuff too. But like specifically speaking like comic book media, I grew up with a lot more DC than I ever did Marvel, at least until the MCU happened. Teen Titans, another DC TV series that I honestly didn't appreciate enough back then. That show is fucking great.
That's an interesting point. Like Detective Comics, DC, they had a lot of their stuff animated, but Marvel was so different. Marvel had Marvel had the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, the X-Men movies, and the Fantastic Four duo,
Yeah.
and that was kind of it. My, I'll be 100% honest, my exposure to 90% of Marvel prior to the MCU was purely through Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah. That's about where I was at too. Like MVC was kind of the first you know, MVC was kind of the first franchise or the first time I really got exposed outside of Spider-Man. Like I was not familiar with Thor and Captain America and these names that are now the like my mom knows who Black Panther is. She would not fucking know what Black Panther is 15 years ago. Like granted my mom doesn't know anything, but that's besides the point. Um
But yeah, nowadays these things are so ingrained and a part of pop culture now that everyone knows what Star Lord is. Everyone knows what the Guardians of the Galaxy are. Everyone knows what Iron Man and the Avengers. But like you're telling me the other day, like these used to be like D-listers at best. Nobody cared about Iron Man. Nobody cared about Thor. Nobody cared about Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon. Nobody cared.
oh, 100%. Like the Avenger, like as I mentioned before to you the other day, like back before the MCU happened, the big Marvel heroes that like most people, the popular Marvel heroes back then were the X-Men, Spider-Man, of course, and surprisingly enough, the Fantastic Four. And then anything outside of those properties were like niche. Like you never heard people talking about the Punisher or Deadpool or especially not the Avengers back then, right? Um and it was like and that was the Avengers. The Avengers were like D-list heroes. Fucking the Guardians of the Galaxy, Gamora, Groot, and all of them, they were like fucking Z. Like they were the bottom of the barrel. But then again, that's what James Gunn is known for at this point. Just taking, characters nobody fucking cares about and somehow making them the best movies or TV or whatever out there. Like fucking they took the absolute Z, or he took the absolute Z listers of the Guardians of the Galaxy and honestly made the best trilogy in the MCU out of them. And then even when he touched like DC with the Suicide Squad 2, that's probably the best DC movie in all honesty. And then the TV show he worked on is also really good, which was Peacemaker, I believe. But
But
yeah,
yeah, and the MCU really kicked off with the first Iron film, right?
Iron Man, let me set the scene for you. Um
Please.
when Iron Man 1 came out, it was kind of a moment. Like, a lot of the nerd culture, like, I knew about the Iron Man movie coming out. Like, I've, just to put it in perspective, I do not like reading comics. I read manga, I read manhwa, I like that kind of stuff. My problem with reading comics is all of the various continuities bug the shit out of me. I want to be able to pick up, like, a book, a comic book, whatever, and I pick up issue 1 and I just read it in a straight line, and that's the story. I pick up issue 1 of Naruto and finish all 200 volumes of that. That's the whole story. I don't have to branch to, like, fucking different timelines by different authors, by different universes. Like, I don't have to do that. And to an extent, you don't have to do that in actual like American comics either. But, like, there's no definitive starting point, because so often in American comics that, like, oh, this is one continuity and this is a different continuity and then this is a different continuity, but then this separate character references this other continuity, but then this character references a totally different continuity, and none of it is labeled or makes any sense whatsoever. So, like, I don't read American comics if I can help it.
Not to mention that back in the day that,
It was even harder back then because we didn't
yeah,
have streaming apps and,
we didn't have,
Comixology and stuff.
yeah, encyclopedic knowledge of these characters, these comics, and the orders and the continuities and all that wasn't readily accessible, or at least, you know, mainstream enough for people to just find. You would have
Yeah.
to be a very dedicated fan, finding, the correct forums, browsing them for a while to understand, oh, so this is how I browse this comic, or, just actually going into comic stores and hoping that the owners or the patrons are familiar enough with the properties to and kind enough to actually say, oh yeah, just read it like this. And even then, that's all a stretch.
Yeah. It was a different fucking time back then. It was different. It was weird. But then the MCU came in and changed that. When Iron Man came out, it was kind of an instant hit. It came out and that's all anyone would talk about. Like, even people that had never mentioned comic books didn't even know the movie was coming out. Like, I had people talking about this movie. I remember my dad being ecstatic to watch this movie. I had never seen him give a shit about any superhero anything. Like, again, put it in perspective. My dad is, like, the biggest sci-fi fan, to where, like, back at home when I was living with him, like, he would just, like, I would come home from school or whatever, and if he was home, he had the TV on, he was watching, like, the Sci-Fi Channel, watching some fucking weird ass movies. I'm still scarred to this day by some of the weird ass horror movies that I would see him watching when I was, like, 6. That's besides the point. But, like, he was fucking ecstatic about this film. And then I looked into it and I was like, this looks kind of cool. Robert Downey Jr. is kind of cute. Don't worry about that. Anyway, I might have had a crush on that man. Don't worry about it. But yeah, like, this movie came out and everyone was kind of expecting it to flop. Everyone was expecting, like, oh, this is just going to be, the superhero movies are dead. That was kind of the time period. Because, like, at the time, that was right after what? Spider-Man 3 had just came out, right? Something like that. Yeah. Spider-Man 3 had come out a year before. Almost to the day, which is actually kind of weird. It came out a year before, minus 2 days. Iron Man came out May 2nd, 2008. Spider-Man 3 came out May 4th, 2007. That's kind of weird. But, like, at the time, a lot of people thought, like, superhero movies are dead. Everyone thought, wow, the amazing, Spider-Man 2 was phenomenal. And now they just give us this schlock. And so no one was really expecting much from Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 1. And it came out and it was fucking amazing. It was so fucking good. I to this day I still adore Iron Man 1. Like I love that movie. I forget. Iron Man 1 was the first MCU movie, right? I'm not like brain farting.
I don't even know.
Cuz the Hulk movie was also 2008. When did the Hulk come out? All right. Oh my god, it came out like a month later. Jesus. Iron Man 1 came out May 2nd, 2008. Hulk came out June 13th. So literally like a month and a week later, Hulk came out. But yeah, Iron Man 1 was great. What were your feelings on it?
On the original Iron Man.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I haven't seen the original Iron Man since it came out on DVD and my dad rented it. I haven't seen it since then. I haven't seen it since like 2008, 2009.
I mean, yeah.
And my memory's a little foggy on it. I remember really, I remember thinking the whole Iron Man building that original suit, that original Iron Man suit, all that taking place in Iraq,
It was the Middle East. It was.
wherever he built it. I remember all that being kind of cool.
He built it in a cave with a box of
Yeah,
scraps.
I remember that being cool. Him making it even better and then flying through the sky. And everything after that was kind of a blur.
As much as I love that movie, it does, yes. Even that first movie, it has the same problem that all the Marvel movies nowadays have, because it kind of cemented those. It is main character builds or obtains superpower, and of course, in his origin movie, he must fight someone with identical superpowers to show how he is the true person who should be wielding this superpower. That is every Marvel origin movie for the rest of this franchise. Sometimes the sequel movie, too, in the case of Captain America. But yeah, like, as much as I like the first Iron Man movie, yes, I do understand the issue, quote unquote, of he's just fighting himself effectively. It's like, and it's super on the nose too, because it's like literally he is evil businessman who wants to create, weapons with Tony's company. It's literally What If Tony, but he didn't get kidnapped by terrorists in Iraq, which I feel works in that movie. The problem is all of the other Marvel movies that came later just did the same thing again without the story or character significance to make sense. Again, with a few exclusions. I think Winter Soldier does the same thing. It's Captain America fighting effectively a dude with the exact same power set, except it kind of works given the nature of it and everything. But I'm sure we'll get to there. But yeah. Ren.
Yes. Now, I feel the need to preface at the time that a lot of these movies came out, I didn't necessarily have the luxury to actually watch them. I didn't have the luxury to actually spend money and go to the theaters or even rent them from various sources.
blockbuster. Rest in peace. You will
I was
not be forgotten.
I was gonna say a worse one, but I fear that doxing us,
What, family video?
Redbox.
Ah,
But
those existed back then. Shit,
that's how I watched the first Iron Man.
really?
hmm But yeah, I just didn't get a chance to watch a majority of these movies. Thor, Captain America, those movies I didn't get to see. I'd heard about them, and I believe Jade would tell me some firsthand, like, what happened and what she thought about them. And I liked them through osmosis. I had heard of these characters. I had heard about, Thor from just Marvel versus Capcom and Captain America, Stars and Stripes, Mr. America, also Marvel versus Capcom.
Fuck that attack. The Stars and Stripes super move. Fuck off.
But yeah, I knew of these characters, and I did get the chance to watch Iron Man 2, and I saw, that was the one that had a War Machine, right?
Yes, that was the one that introduced War Machine.
And that was kind of the only real takeaway I took from that movie was just, oh hey, War Machine. He was in NBC too. I know him.
Oh, my poor sweet summer child.
That was kind of my only takeaway from that movie.
You haven't heard. The MCU did something really stupid recently with War Machine.
I will save it for later.
Fair enough. In short, War Machine was a scroll all along.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. I
You could
think
have not said that. You could have not said that, and I would have been perfectly blissfully ignorant.
well, from what we know, because this was like a reveal in the new Marvel show. Again, if we did not mention it, spoilers for all of these movies. I don't know which of these movies we're going to be talking about, but spoilers for all of them just in case. Including the new stuff like Secret Wars, which I just fucking spoiled for all of you. You're welcome. It's not worth the watch. Anyway,
Anywho, yeah, I didn't get to watch a good portion of these movies when they were coming out. And hell, I didn't even go back and watch them, the majority of them. Like, I watched Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder, and that's it. I haven't seen any of the other Thor movies, and I don't plan to.
they're bad.
It's kind of what I heard.
The first one is incredibly serviceable at best. It has some funny jokes and some really bad hair dye. Um, and that's about it. The second movie is really bad. It was the worst Marvel movie until we got some of the more recent movies that came out in the past like 2 years.
Ant-Man 3.
Ant-Man 3, Black Widow 1, you know.
But yeah, where the hell were we?
You were talking about how you would effectively watch them through osmosis of me talking about them.
Yeah, you other peers at the time, and I would be hearing the hype and build up for the big movie, the Avengers, and in preparation for that, people would rewatch those other movies because, oh, if you look closely, they're all interconnected, and that was a very big thing at the time, was that whole, for the keen-eyed fan, the fans who know their stuff, really know their stuff, their characters and their lore and all that. If you pay attention to the backgrounds, you might notice, oh, this character, oh, that's actually Black Widow. She made a cameo in this movie, and she's also in this movie. Oh, we're starting to build a continuity with these characters, and
Yeah.
that was just something that was never never heard of, never seen in cinema.
Yeah. Like some of the earliest ones I can think of, Stark Industries logos show up in Hulk. Um that was like one of the first ones that I noticed when I first saw the Hulk movie. In Iron Man 1, obviously Phil Coulson is there and he specifically mentions shields. Um um Obviously Iron Man 2, they bring up like the Avengers Initiative and stuff like that. They also bring up that Tony's building a team in Hulk as well. Um and then I literally had one. Oh, of course, Hawkeye shows up in Thor 1, the Tesseract, of course, in Captain America. God, I feel like I'm forgetting like a big one. I don't remember. Fuck. While you were talking, I had one in my mind, and now it completely slipped.
Rip.
Ripperoo, I guess. If I think about it, I'll interrupt you later.
You see, I was kind of banking on you talking a little more because I just started eating a little slice of pizza.
You're funny. Anyway, but yeah, like there are a bunch of like small references to stuff, of course. I'm trying to think if there were like any long running references. Like, of course, like in the first Avengers, we got the reference to Thanos. Like, Thanos shows up in the post credit scene to the first Avengers movie, and obviously he doesn't show up until like 8 years later. Um, but like, I'm trying to think if there was anything else major and kind of spattered around to get referenced. Not particularly.
You did bring up an important point. The post credits scenes,
Yeah.
while that may not have been something original to the MCU, it popularized the idea of hiding extra stuff as extra Easter eggs for those patient enough to just sit through the credits, the first like minute or so of credits, and then even further beyond that, the full credits. Just a little something extra for everyone who just, you know, sticks around for those super fans.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing a blank here.
Uh huh.
Just the fact that, again, cementing that the MCU was really something new to cinema, just taking advantage, and I shouldn't say taking advantage, but utilizing, God, my voice cracked, utilizing the media for a new purpose that hadn't really been explored before. Just that whole idea of these things are interconnected. Here's all these ways we can, hide Easter eggs. Here's these, extra tidbits, extra just fan service to all these dedicated fans.
Yeah.
And all of these things, again, they were very new to cinema. And the absolute sheer success of these Marvel films with Iron Man, especially Avengers, paved a way for cinema going forward. And I feel that it has done irreparable damage.
And this is where we officially get to the topic at hand: why Ren hates the MCU. So, that irreparable damage. What do you mean by that?
Because of the mass success of specifically Iron Man and specifically the Avengers and that whole experiment of let's hint at something bigger. Let's build towards something bigger. They had to keep upping the ante and sticking with what they thought would work. And everyone loves Iron. Everyone loves Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, his characterization of Iron. So much so that who's it that directed the first Avengers? It was the Russo brothers, right?
I don't. Were they?
Or was that the Endgame Infinity War Endgame?
Joss Whedon was the director of
Okay,
Avengers 1. That
okay,
was the
that's
guy who
kind
did
of what
like
I
Buffy
thought.
and everything.
Yes, yes, thank you. I knew Joss Whedon was involved in some portion because he has a very particular way of writing characters and writing banter between characters. And you can see it in all of his other works.
Buffy,
Buffy, Firefly,
Firefly,
Serenity.
Angel,
I've never seen Angel.
The Nevers.
Anywho, these, because of the success of Iron Man and Avengers and Joss Whedon's style of writing, everything started to adopt that style, that characterization. Oh, cool. We get to see Doctor Strange. He's a very cool character. He's like a magician. Oh, he's just magic Iron Man. Okay. Oh, we're gonna get Star-Lord. Oh, he's kind of that Iron Man character too. A little less snide, but he's still making those same kind of quips all the time, like Iron Man in the Avengers. Oh, oh, this is just the next forever for Marvel, isn't it? And it was. Everything just became, we're copying this again. Also, we got to keep building and building and building and stretching this out as far as we can because fans really like the whole idea of us having that big continuity, that big let's bring this back, let's bring that back. Here's Easter egg. Here's fucking Howard the Duck in Guardians. Here's blank. Here's this. Keep throwing shit at people, they'll eat it up. And people did.
Indeed, they did.
And it was especially egregious to me in the second Avengers film that just like I got hyped. I got excited for it. I love the first Avengers. Some of the movies in between, whatever. I didn't care too much for like Iron Man 3. Depending on who you talk to, they'll either hate it or love it. I thought it was very mid. I didn't watch Thor. Winter Soldier, I kind of didn't watch. Guardians, that was pretty fun. And then Age of Ultron happens, and it was just bad. It was kind of just not good. There was like one or two kind of good moments in it, and I just remember after watching it feeling kind of empty.
For which one?
The Avengers Age of Ultron.
Ah, yes. I mean, to be fair, that is the worst Avengers movie by far. It's
Yes.
one of the worst MCU movies.
Yes. And it was at that kind of at that point that I realized just they're just going to keep building up and up and up, and they're going to release whatever schlock along the way to get to whatever the end point is. And they have this stuff planned 5, 6, 7, 8 years in advance. And then it just kind of dawned on me like, I don't want to partake in this. If like one of the movies comes out and it's good, sure, I'll watch it, but kind of just don't care about what they're building up to anymore. That mentality of, oh, it's fun for the fans. It's fun Easter eggs. Oh, look at this character. Oh, they're in this too. It started to become tired, and
Mm-hmm.
we'd seen it before, and it's tired now, and it's just they're still doing it, and it's still successful. People still are clamoring for, yeah, new Marvel movie. Oh, I gotta see it. It's gonna be the best movie ever. And a friend of mine would take me out to see them, and every time I'm just kind of like, eh. Oh, Ren, what did you think? Meh. It sure was the runtime. Kind of the only positive thing I can say.
I mean, yes. There there are more bad to okay Marvel movies than there are good Marvel movies. The good
Mm,
Marvel movies are very few and far between, and then there's a lot of bad ones.
But that's kind of the problem, though. They have to just pump out whatever schlock they can because they just need to have that revenue coming in.
Yeah.
They're not they're not they're not quality controlling this shit.
See, that is a much bigger problem now, post Endgame, I feel. Like, you had that a little bit pre Endgame with, like, especially, like, right after Infinity War with, like, oh, Ant-Man 2 is coming out right after fucking Infinity War just killed everybody, right? And then Captain Marvel, which is just another Iron Man 1 ass, like, origin story movie, right? And then we got Endgame. Whereas, like everything before Endgame had a purpose, or at least if they didn't have a purpose, it was at least watchable, right? The problem is everything after Endgame, it doesn't seem like there's a purpose anymore. Like, that build up to the big, like, super climax of Endgame, like, felt impactful. Like, they kept building that up. Like, as someone who enjoyed the MCU, that felt impactful. That felt fun and interesting and new. But now, post Endgame, even as someone who really liked the MCU and would watch every single MCU movie in theaters, I don't think I've seen a single MCU movie post Endgame in theaters except what?
Doctor Strange.
I've seen Doctor Strange 2. I think that's the only, and Spider-Man
Spidey.
and Spider-Man 3, but I think that's the only two. But like it's just it's a whole fucking mess. I have something I want to do Ren whenever you're ready, but
Oh,
I'm still setting it up, so continue on your thought. I will tell you when I'm ready.
uh, now my thoughts kind of just derailed. But yeah, just it became to me, it just became daunting that there's this end goal. It's far out there. We're gonna reach it at some point, but it just became to me the films became the ends justify the means. We're gonna create some bad movies. We need to have at least 3 Marvel movies per year. We have to have X amount of movies to come out before we get to this next part, so we can continue setting stuff up in the background. And I just didn't care. I don't I saw like Age of Ultron was a bad movie, and that one killed my initial interest. I went out to see a couple more to, like maybe that one was just a fluke. The next movie I saw was Ant-Man.
See, Ant-Man 1. Continue. I'll say my thought later.
I remember it came out, Ant-Man came out like 2 weeks later. Jade texted me like, "Hey, I know we haven't talked in like 2 years. Want to see Ant-Man?" Sure. I was more excited to see Jade for the first time in 2 years than to see Ant-Man. And I thought Ant-Man was very whatever. It was very mid. It felt very designed by committee. And most of it forgettable. Ironically, the most impactful, the most memorable parts were when they were doing corporate shilling product placement. Oh, I would never work at Baskin Robbins, works at Baskin Robbins. Kind of the only part I remember from the movie, aside from the big end fight scene where they're all miniaturized. I thought that was kind of fun, and that was my entire takeaway from that movie. And then the next film I saw, the next on the list, Captain America's Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I just had very choice opinions on that film.
How did you feel about that movie? Because Civil War and Winter Soldier are like kind of hailed as some of the better MCU movies, but they're also kind of divisive by some people. So I'm like curious how you feel.
Well, at the time I watched it, I was friends with somebody who was actually like comic book literate, and they've actually read the original Civil War comics, and they'd hyped me up a little bit, like, oh yeah, like this was the general story for Civil War, and yada yada. And so I was like, okay, I see what they're doing. I see what they're going for. And then I went to see it, and my thought on it was that, uh-huh. So they're trying to make Captain America the carefree character because Bucky is there. He just wants to be with his friend Bucky. Okay. But Iron Man, he's the sensible one. He's the one who can get guilted into oh, we gotta have restrictions on the Avengers. To me, it felt it felt like they'd accidentally given Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. the wrong script. They accidentally give each other the wrong scripts, and then they were reading it, and then the producer was like, wait a second, their characters are like backwards. That's genius.
Yeah, like that's kind of the point of that movie, to be fair. But I would specifically with Iron Man, I do understand how I understand both sides to where like they didn't really set it up as well as they should have, but they did set it up to some extent to where Tony is portrayed in the MCU as he's a very you know, he is a broken human being. You know, his alcoholism in the first two movies to like his like whole fucking character arc in Iron Man 3 and his PTSD stuff. And like so like it would make sense that like the events of Avengers 2 where like the world basically almost ended and they had to like they watched so many fucking people die or lose their families or lose their, whatever. While it is kind of a stretch for him to go as far as he went in that movie, the pieces are there to make sense of it to where like he has that mentality. He has that to where like he would get guilted into like
I
that kind of situation.
Listen, I get that. I got what they were going for, and they set it up enough to make it make sense. But they set it up barely enough for it's just barely passing by. Like the audience has to do a little bit of legwork themselves in their head to be able to bridge that gap. Yeah. To me, it just felt like they did the bare minimum for that. There's just that sort of complete tonal whiplash of Captain America's not acting like Captain America. Iron Man's not acting like Iron Man. Oh, it's set up. Oh, okay. I guess that's all the setup we're getting, like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like
And then the rest of the movie predicates on that 3-minute explanation.
yeah. Like Cap's whole justification I feel makes a lot more sense in the fact that like Captain America had a whole fucking movie to explain like Bucky's his best friend, but he thought he was dead. Bucky's alive. And then he runs away and now that he found him again and it's like the whole crux of Civil War is kind of him protecting Bucky, doing what he feels is right, him personally, to save his friend.
I get that, and
And
a lot of that is probably, just missed context on me not watching Winter Soldier.
100%. That any issue that you might have in that regard about like his characterization in Winter or in Winter Soldier, like everything crumbles around him. Like it kind of mind breaks Captain America a little bit in that movie to where like the entire American government, all of Shield are all Nazis. So everything he's ever believed in is a lie. So like he doesn't become like he goes from like this, the idea of Captain America being like this goody two shoes kind of everything for the American way to like post Winter Soldier. He's super jaded. He's super just like fuck the American government. They're all fucking Nazis. They're all controlled by Hydra. They're all, I'm gonna do what's necessary to protect, everything. While still having a little bit of that, like, But yeah, like, I 100% understand where you're coming from with just the MCU as a whole. Which is why I want you to help me. We haven't done this in a very long time, and I thought it would be very funny to do as the first Best Girls podcast. How about we do a tier list?
Oh, God. I didn't even get through my thoughts on Civil War.
Well, continue. We'll talk about that, and we'll do Civil War first for the tier list. So we have Civil War here. What are we thinking?
Okay. I personally thought it was bad. I think that it was very clearly just thinly veiled set dressing to get iconic Marvel faces to fight each other. Very, very, very shoestring plot to get that to happen. Character motives kind of don't exist outside of Captain America and Tony Stark. Everyone else just picks a side because they have to get to the fight at some point.
100%.
And the fight itself was just CGI hell.
That's just all the Marvel movies after like Avengers 1, to be completely honest, though.
It looks bad.
It does.
Hell, Jade and I were actually just watching a fucking clip where somebody edited Walter White into it, and just I was putting like, ooh, Jade, oh, that looks so bad. That's just the default movie. I know.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, just to break it down, our tiers here. Best Girl approved are the best of the best. They're the movies that both of us agree are pretty damn good, that we would both recommend. The all right tier is, pretty justifiable. Watchable is something that, put on in the background, not really give a shit, kind of whatever. Bad is just outright not fun to watch, just bad movie. And awful is something that you either turn off halfway through or just never watch again once you're done with it. And then the final tier is just not MCU, because the tier list I'm working with has like Spider-Man 1 and 2, the Sam Raimi movies for some reason, and we're not talking about those today. But I guess they are technically MCU movies, thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home, huh?
Let's not get into that.
All right. But so you really don't like Civil War?
I personally would probably never watch it again. Like I said, shoestring plot just to get to action. Action wasn't good. It is easily forgettable to the point where in the movie, after watching the movie, maybe this is just like dementia setting in or something, but like I remember something happening in the previews for a Jason Bourne film where a person was just like, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was asking me about the movie afterwards that I legitimately thought that happened in the movie where somebody said, Jesus Christ, it's Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That's how bad and forgettable that movie is to me. Just
fair.
I would never watch it again.
I would at minimum put it in watchable. Entirely just because, yes, the airplane fight scene is kind of whatever. But like that final fight between just Captain America and Tony, where it's just like the one camera shot, just watching them beat the shit out of each other. And then like some of the stuff that they do with Cap, where it kind of bleeds stuff from Winter Soldier over to where, it's kind of that spy thriller, spy drama. And all the Black Panther stuff in Civil War is better than it is in his own movie. So like, I would honestly put it in watchable. But if you really want to put it in bad, we can, Ren.
You see, I had mentally checked out by the point that the final fight between just Cap and Iron Man happens. I genuinely don't remember it. I was that mentally checked out at that point in that movie.
Because, like, I think, honestly, that's probably one of my favorite non-Avengers fight scenes. Is that final fight in Civil War. Where it's, like, no music, no nothing. It is Tony and fucking Captain America beating each other to death. Where do you want to put it, babe?
I personally would put it in bad or awful. More so bad than awful.
All right, we'll put it in bad. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Never watched it.
It's fucking bad. Ant-Man 1.
Forgettable at best.
Cool. We're putting that one in bad. No star. Avengers Age of Ultron.
Awful.
Awful, awful, awful. Top of the awful. It's the worst. Infinity War. How did you feel about Endgame and Infinity War? We'll talk about both of them since they're effectively the same movie.
You see, I had gone into Infinity War. I went into Infinity War after watching Red Letter Media talk about it. So I knew exactly what to expect. And this was also after like a complete hiatus from Marvel since Civil War. I'd maybe watched Doctor Strange at some point between these two. Just that 2-year hiatus. I had a breath of fresh air. I thought Infinity War was quite long, but I liked that it actually had the balls to kill characters.
Yeah. Like, I went into that movie expecting that to happen. Like, knowing that this was a two-parter, like, I went in expecting Thanos is gonna win. Like, that was the given. But like, specifically speaking on Infinity War, like, that movie is so fucking good. Like, even as a
Yeah.
standalone movie, like, the plot, like, they handle like an A plot, a B plot, and like a C plot and a D plot in that movie so fucking well, while simultaneously introducing this new villain and effectively making him the main character of this movie.
They did a fantastic job, especially with Thanos' characterization. You actually understand him, his motivations, why he's the bad guy in the first place. He has very flawed logic, but in his eyes, he genuinely thinks himself a hero. I think Infinity War is all right. Somewhere between Best Girl Approved and all right. I enjoyed my time watching it. I've seen it twice. I don't know if I'd watch it a third time, but it was enjoyable.
I think Infinity War doesn't go anything below Best Girl Approved. That Infinity War is one of, if not the best MCU movie to me. Like, Infinity War is fantastic. Endgame, on the other hand, how do you feel about Endgame?
I think Endgame was a very, very solid conclusion. A very solid conclusion for this entire series, this entire everything that
This 10
Marvel has
year
been building up.
saga.
Yeah. We've got to say goodbye to certain characters and
You can spoil it, babe. It's fine. Captain America goes away forever, and Iron Man dies.
I was using a blanket term because I more so forgot if there's anybody else or not.
I mean, what's his face? War Machine was a Skrull the entire time. I'm gonna reference that at every moment. I hope you realize, because fuck
Anywho,
that writing decision. Anyway,
yes. I think it was a very, very good conclusion to the series, and I'd say Best Girl approved.
All right. All right. Yeah,
It was at nothing, if nothing else, it was nice to have everything fucking end.
yeah. When Endgame came out, I was very ready to just like, you know what? I don't need the MCU anymore. I don't need to go see these movies. And then Spider-Man No Way Home happened and I was like, well, Toby's in it. You got me on board. Segue. Spider-Man. How do you feel about the 3 Spider-Man MCU movies?
I've only seen the one.
You've only seen No Way Home?
It's the only one I've seen.
All right. Cool. How did you feel about No Way Home?
It was pretty good. It was enjoyable.
All right. All
My
right.
my cynicism would not put it in Best Girl approved.
Really? Why is that? Just because, like, your cynicism of, like, nostalgia go burr?
Not even that. My cynicism of now there's fucking 3 Spider-Man all acting Joss Whedon, Iron Man-y. They're all quipping. They're all just acting that ad libs. Oh, quippy. Oh, we gotta say the thing. Oh, we made reference. Nostalgia. That part, kinda.
I'm something of a scientist myself. And did you hear that I have the power of the sun in the palm of my hands?
I don't want to say it dragged it down, but it kept it from reaching peaks for me.
Fair. So would you say about all right is where that goes?
Yeah,
All right. Captain Marvel.
never watched it.
Cool, it's bad. Winter Soldier, you never watched. That one is pretty all right. Did you watch Captain America 1?
No, I
All
was
right.
too poor to watch them. Didn't you hear me?
All right. Captain America 1 is incredibly watchable. I can put that movie on in the background and not care. Doctor Strange 1, I think this is.
It was pretty all right.
Trying to see if Multiverse of Madness is somewhere else more recognizable, but I don't see it. Is Multiverse of Madness even on here? Quantumania is on here. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. It was pretty all right. I would probably put it in watchable. Like I love Doctor Strange. But that movie is kind of just all right.
Yeah, it had some pretty visuals, and yeah, that's kind of it. Again, marred by the whole.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
That was a fun bit, but yeah, just it was kind of marred down by the fact that yes, Doctor Strange was Joss Whedonified.
Like my favorite thing about Doctor Strange as a character is I like when he gets super grim dark. Like kind of like Ghost Rider in that way, to where like they just get like really dark with it. Or like he's very much like Dormammu was like literally an entity of like evil and darkness and like all this stuff, and like it gets really into like eldritch horror almost kind of thing, kind of like how a lot of Ghost Rider gets into like that biblical kind of horror. And I feel like they just kind of MCU-ified him way too much, to the point where it's just like,
Yeah,
Dormammu's a big purple blob, not some crazy skull demon that wants to eat and devour all of humanity. Oh no,
yeah.
he's just a purple, he's fucking Grimace.
Not to mention, at least for me, by this point in time, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is out. We had the 3 Doctor Strange universe characters, Doctor Strange, Dormammu, and Shumagroth, but nobody cares about Shumagroth.
He was technically in the second Doctor Strange movie.
Anywho, sorry to just shut you down
Oh
like
no,
that.
that's perfect. Moving on to Guardians of the
No.
Galaxy 1.
Wow.
What? No, we can go back. What's up?
I don't want to anymore.
All right, moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy 1. If you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Hurry.
Okay. My point being, I have I had already seen the original animated uh
The movie.
movie for Doctor Strange.
Such
I
a
knew
good
what his
movie.
story was. I knew what his story was, and I had seen his character a lot through just the sheer amount of time that me and my brothers would put into MVC3, that anything else would feel just wrong.
Yeah.
And like I said, Doctor Strange is kind of just, oh, he's Magic Iron Man. He's not saying, his funny, whimsical daggers of Danak, Eye of Agamotto. He's not saying those funny, whimsical words. He's just kind of being Iron Man-y. I don't even know what the point I was trying to make anymore. You've completely derailed me.
Oh, it's fine. You just didn't like what they you were just effectively echoing what I was saying. You like Doctor Strange when he's more, you know.
He he's an actual character, and I was familiar with the fact that he was that character and not just,
Yeah, he's
okay,
just
Jade, we need to come up with a term for this. I can't keep saying just sweetified.
when he was what? When he became
When just the fact that every character in these movies just became that writing style of, we gotta have that, oh, kind of ad-libbed feel. We gotta have them make quips and all that.
yeah, or they have to just kind of be quippy and they have to be funny and they have to be,
There is no point where somebody isn't there is no point where somebody isn't trying to be funny or bring levity.
yeah. I mean that's what most people see it as. Is it just like it's the John Whedonism or Josh Whedonism.
John
John
Sweden.
Whedon. John Whedon's football. Every time they pass the football, they just go and talk about their fucking, dark backstory where they were locked in a cave with a box of scraps.
John Madden.
Football 2008.
Anywho,
Anywho, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I know where I
Guardians
want to put this one.
Guardians 1 was very fun. I think it is a good balance for acclaimed Mario aficionado, acclaimed Koopa Stomper, Chris Pratt. I think that is kind of the right role for him. It's the right mix of idiots and, he's a little actiony.
The lovable idiot trope is kind of his perfect. I feel like Chris Pratt's niche as an actor is that lovable idiot trope. Like he did it in Parks and Rec and he was everyone's fucking favorite character in that and he's just doing it again in Guardians of the Galaxy and he's great in that. And then everything else he's in, people don't like.
Hmm.
Because they try to turn him into like a fucking Harrison Ford ass fucking superhuman, like, action hero like in Jurassic World and shit. And it just doesn't work. Like when he's playing the lovable idiot, be it Star-Lord or I forget what the fuck his name is in Parks and Rec, or the Emmett from the Lego movie, like it works.
Mr. Lego.
Mr. Lego in the flesh. I say Guardians of the Galaxy 1 goes in all right.
Yeah.
Now then, Guardians 2.
I'd also put that in all right, but I'd put it at the top of all right.
Yeah, that's about where I'd put it too. I Guardians 2 is fucking really good, and Yondu's whole character arc is really well done. And
I like Ego as a villain.
Ego is very fun. His whole heel turn was very obviously happening, but it being an emotional kind of pivot point for the characters was really nicely done. All right, considering we're talking Guardians, Guardians 3.
Watchable.
What? Wait. Really?
Watchable.
You didn't like Guardians 3?
I liked it well enough.
I was going to put it in
Again,
Best Girl Approved. I fucking love that movie. Guardians 3 is my favorite.
you see, again, spoilers, everyone. Uh, I kind of didn't give a shit about the whole fact that, oh, Rocket's dying. Oh, here's sad moments with Rocket and old friends. Let's just drag that out for the entire movie. Okay, I get it. Sad raccoon. Oh, he had otter friends. Oh, it's all cute. I sure hope nothing bad happened. Oh no, they're all dead. Who could have seen this coming? Oh, big sad. If it didn't, I understand. They wanted to bring some character in depth to Rocket, but he was just out the entire movie.
Yeah.
And that kind of dragged it down. Just the fact that it wasn't half the movie, it wasn't 2/3 the movie, it was 90% of the movie of just here's Rocket's trauma, here's Rocket's past.
I understand. It's just there's so
It
many other parts than just the Rocket thing. Like I think the Rocket thing was pretty nice. I liked getting Rocket's backstory. I liked that they let it breathe and it wasn't just like a jokey cliff note at the end of, a random encounter or something. I liked that it was like the crux of the movie. I liked how it kind of really pulled all of the characters' character arcs to completion. It kind of, brought Drax as a parent to the forefront and kind of, did that. It helped the Gamora and Chris Pratt dynamic. Rocket obviously got the most characterization and whatnot in that movie. Nebula's character arc was phenomenal. Groot is still my least favorite character in the franchise. I liked Groot a lot in the first movie, and then they turned him into a fucking Disney character, and then I stopped caring. As soon as they turned him into this is the mascot of the MCU, I stopped caring.
I guess I don't know. I get that it was the whole like point of the movie, just all that, but at the same time, I feel like having that whole story that's very clearly how it's gonna pan out, how it's gonna play out, dragged across the 2 hours runtime slowly and in pieces just took me out of it. It didn't help that maybe if I'd went into the movie blind, I would feel a lot better about it, but I'd seen one of the trailers or one of the clips before watching the movie of them all like singing their names. Oh, I'm gonna be Lila. I'm gonna be Rocket. I'm gonna be Kicks or Teeths or whatever. I'd seen that, and I'm just like, I know exactly where this is going. I don't need to watch the movie. I know exactly where this is going. And then people around me kept singing the praises of the movie. Oh, it's a really good movie. Oh, you're really gonna like it. Oh, it's very emotional. Oh, it's very sad. Oh, Rocket's the best character. Like, yeah, I get it. I get it. His friends died. I get it. Okay, you can shut up about it now. Okay, shut the fuck up about it now. Seriously.
Yeah. Very fair.
I
100%.
just I think the movie was fine. I just think people here's a secret if you didn't realize about me. I hate people having fun. I hate people enjoying things. People aren't allowed to enjoy things. No
End
fun allowed.
sentence. End sentence. Moving on. All right. Next up, you said you haven't seen the other two Spider-Man movies, Far From
No,
Home and No Way Home. Uh, Far From Home is bad or awful. No Way Home is bad. Where is No Way Home? Where is No Way Home?
right there.
Ah, right here. He's bad. I don't like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. There, I said it. That Hulk movie is not.
It quasi is. It's in that
It's
weird limbo
it's
state
awful
where it
though.
isn't.
It's awful though, so it doesn't matter. Iron Man 1. Where would you put Iron Man 1? We've already talked about it, so
It's hard to deny its significance to how it shaped cinema. I kind of don't remember anything about it, but I also haven't seen it in 15 years. I would put it at all right.
I'm going to stand my ground here for the first time of the session here. This movie is going best girl approved, whether if you could claw that from my cold dead hands.
Is it just because you have a crush on Robert Downey Jr.?
No, it's because that movie is genuinely fantastic and it's not a fucking CG mess. Iron Man 2. Wait, why is Iron Man 1 on here twice? No, wait, that's Iron Man 2. This is Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2 is watchable at best. Where did we put Iron Man 3? Where's Iron Man 3?
You accidentally dropped it in the not MCU.
Iron Man 3. Where would you put Iron Man 2?
Iron Man 2 kind of just either watchable or bad.
Yeah.
It happened.
Iron Man 3.
Again, like I was saying, either people love it or hate it. I while I was watching it, I remember enjoying it, but then I remember like 10 minutes later, I couldn't remember a damn thing that happened.
Of course, it's because we're connected.
He built Iron Man suits in little kid's house, I think. He took the watch, I think. He pissed off some rich bitch. Was that what happened? I
Like 30 years in the past, he pissed off some science dweeb. The science dweeb turned evil and created a super serum that turned him into an explosive, infinitely healing like person or whatever. He destroys Iron Man's house, and then Iron Man hangs out with a very small child. They become connected, connected for free.
thank you.
And then he beats the bad guy without the use of his Iron Man suit.
Yeah, he summoned all Iron Man suits and they all exploded or whatever.
The point of that movie was to establish that Tony Stark himself is the hero, not Iron Man.
Yeah. Again, I remember enjoying it as I watched it. Don't remember a damn thing afterwards. It's watchable.
I'd put it ahead of all of these, but that's
Babe,
about where I'd leave it.
if you want, you can put Guardians 3 at the bottom of all right.
Yes, thank you. All right.
I know you're itching for that.
Black Panther 1.
Moving on.
All right. Black Panther 1 is like more watchable than Iron Man 2. That's about it. Thor 1 is awful. Thor the Dark World is also awful.
Jade.
Yes.
I did watch Wakanda movie.
Oh, you did watch Black Panther 1. Okay, how do you feel about it?
Now I need to set this up. I watched this movie at the lowest point in my life, like the actual lowest point in my life. And I watched it on an in movie flight shitty back of seats monitor. I watched the entire movie on a fucking plane.
Oof, so you probably didn't even notice the PS2 graphics.
Oh no, I noticed them.
That entire fight scene looks like something from Jack and Daxter. No, that's gonna get too much credit. Ratchet and Clank.
Woof.
Ratchet and Clank 1.
It's just gonna sound like I have dementia. I don't remember it. The amount of times I'm saying I don't remember, but I genuinely don't really remember much about.
Huh. It just means that the movies are forgettable. It's fine.
I don't remember feeling any particular way about the movie. Just kind of that. All right, that kills this. That killed like 2 hours of this 7 hour flight.
Yeah.
Kind of all I felt about it.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'd say watchable
It's like
at
bottom of
best.
watchable, slightly better than
Yeah.
Iron Man 2.
Next on the list.
Next on the list, so Thor 1 and 2, you said you haven't seen.
No.
They're both bad, really bad. I would say Thor 1 is better than Hulk, but not better than any of these. Ant-Man and Wasp can go at the very bottom though. Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. I quite enjoyed.
I love Taika Waititi. I love What We Do in the Shadows immensely. I love Jojo Rabbit, and lo and behold, I love Thor Ragnarok.
I love the big himbo energy that Thor had throughout that entire movie. He
Very
was
much.
just he was just very stupid throughout that movie consistently, and that was never to a detriment. I'd say very all right, or maybe even best girl approved.
I would put it in Best Girl approved. So I would put it like bottom of Best Girl approved, but it's
Fair.
definitely up there. Avengers 1.
Again, another one of those movies I haven't seen since it came out. I have to give it credit for being that the iconic crossover movie. It was the first of its kind. Just go ahead and put it up there, Jade.
Yep. It's going Best Girl approved. But like we would get crucified if we didn't put that one up there at least.
Absolutely.
And that's where a certain Avengers or a certain Marvel show got its start. And for those of you who do not know, I like a very particular Marvel show.
And what is it? WandaVision.
Fuck no. God no. Agents of Shields. I was a big fan of Agents of Shields. Next one up though is WandaVision.
Didn't see. I heard pretty good, all right things about it. I would give it a watch if it weren't for the fact that it's what Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus, yeah. It was pretty good until the ending when it became very, very bad. So
Hilarious.
put it in watchable, but under Iron Man 2. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, awful. Awful.
They had a standalone movie together.
They had a standalone TV show together.
Oof.
Oof.
I'm gonna say I don't remember that happening.
Yep. Loki was bad. I'm sorry, all the ladies who really like Tom Hiddleston or whatever the fuck his name is, and Owen Wilson. Wow, but but yeah, no thanks.
Next on the list.
Shang-Chi. You've seen this one. We watched it together, right?
Yeah. I would put that in all right.
So would I. I would put Guardians 3 at least right there, and I would put Shang-Chi honestly right there. I
Fair enough.
really like Shang-Chi. I thought
It
it was
was
very fun.
it was really good. I feel like all that extra stuff that like tied it to the MCU, they could have just not.
It could have been its own standalone thing and it would have been fine, yeah.
Yeah, they could have taken out that like extra 3 minutes of footage and the end credit stuff, and it would have been perfectly. It would have been its own thing, and I'm a little not disappointed, but you get what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
wish it was its own standalone thing.
Black Widow, awful. Marvel's What If. Have you seen this at all, Ren? This is the animated Disney Plus show.
No, but I know that. Wait, no, that's the other one. Never mind.
This one was pretty watchable, actually. It's probably the best of the Marvel shows, entirely because they just do not give a shit about the continuity of anything. And they made Doctor Strange the main character, and they actually went grimdark with his character instead of getting Josh Whedonified. So, automatic plus in my book.
Can we just call it Fireflied? When characters just get Fireflied.
Sure. We can
I,
do that.
I feel like that flows off the tongue a little better, at least.
Mm-hmm. That worketh for me. All right. Hawkeye is bottom of awful. Terrible. Worst. It,
What is this?
this is Eternals.
Oh my god.
This is that 4-hour Marvel movie they put out with the sex scene about characters no one's heard of. They somehow found a collection of characters that matter even less than the Guardians of the Galaxy do.
Oh, and that was when the 2020 happens, yeah.
All right, all right. I hate to break it to everybody.
Are you adding a road just for the 2020?
All right.
Fuck.
Eternals gets its own fucking tier. It's that bad. Um Daredevil. Netflix's Daredevil.
Season 1 was pretty all right, pretty watchable. I didn't care to even try attempt season 2.
Very fair. Moon Knight, neither of us have watched.
I watched the first episode.
I thought it was pretty bad. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is bad. I hate to break it to Sam Raimi and Doctor Strange. It is not a good film.
Fuck is this?
This is Ms. Marvel, another one of the fucking TV shows. This is the stretchy girl that came out like 3 years ago and went everywhere.
I literally never heard of this show.
Yeah, I'm putting it in awful. It's bad. I'll put it in bad. It's not as bad as Hawkeye. Um, Thor: Love and Thunder. I know you've seen this one.
Watchable. It was pretty watchable. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It had some good moments and it had some definitely bad
The
moments.
fucking CGI for the little kid floating his face in the middle of the room. That was so horrendously bad. It was hilarious. The Defenders, Netflix's Defenders. This is the Avengers show for all of their. This is the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist show.
I didn't even realize they all had a show together.
Fair enough. It was better than Daredevil. Iron Fist was awful. Punisher was better than Doctor Strange, surprisingly. Luke Cage is better than WandaVision.
That's Jessica Jones.
Oh, that's Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones.
I've watched Jessica Jones at least season 1.
How did you like that?
I didn't.
But you don't like David Tennant, so that makes sense.
It just, it wasn't the fact that it was David Tennant. It's just, how do I describe this?
You didn't like how the entire movie was just or the entire show was just an allegory for like PTSD from sexual assault. Because that's literally that entire TV show.
It was, yeah. I just, on one hand, I think it's kind of admirable that they stuck a character. They had a character trait that Jessica Jones, she is just broken. She's yes, PTSD, and she's just not recovering from it. I think that's admirable, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't make for the best watch.
Fair enough.
If she had like a more lighthearted, sidekick or whatever, God, that sounds so cheesy. Just those words. There needed to be a bit more levity in it that kind of just wasn't there for like the second half of the first season.
Yeah. She needed Daredevil's pudgy friend. I forget what his name is. So where would you put Jessica?
Watchable.
All right.
I'd honestly put it behind Daredevil.
Fair enough. All right, Luke Cage.
That's all you.
I liked Luke Cage more than Jessica Jones. She-Hulk.
That was a train wreck and a half. We didn't even get to finish it.
We're putting that in Eternals tier.
I kind of want to watch more. Just how it's
such a train wreck. It's actually kind of funny.
It's a train wreck that you can't help but look at. You can't turn your head away from.
Ren, I hope you realize I'm gonna keep you to fuck that. We're gonna watch the next episode tonight.
Good.
I am Groot.
Bottom of Eternals tier.
I'm putting it in the not MCU tier. It's so disconnected from the MCU, it may as well not matter. Same with Marvel Legends. That is a fucking.
Which one is Legends?
That's Marvel Legends is the toy brand.
Which one is the one where the kid accidentally explodes his parents by saying why?
What the fuck are you talking about?
It was like the MCU's attempt at like trying to explain the mutants. The
Oh, that was the Inhumans. Oh, is that not on here? That's the Inhumans TV show. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. That one's not on here. Fucking Morbius is on here, but not.
Bottom of the bottom. Morbius is bottom of the bottom. Like
Morbius is fucking not MCU, so
Okay,
it's fine.
okay. We need to go over the not MCU. Can't just relegate all that to just
We will go over them and put them in order. We'll put them fine. We'll put them in the tier once we're
no,
done with
no.
MCU.
I'm not saying we have to put them. Okay, fine. Yeah. Moving on.
Wakanda forever.
We didn't watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It kind of didn't look very good.
I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm just gonna make an entirely new tier for Wakanda forever.
Jade, it has to be above Eternals.
Does it? Does it? Does it? Why? No, 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 no. God damn it. Can I just change the colors, please? Purple. We'll make it purple for fucking Eternals tier. Wakanda forever didn't watch. Cool. I misspelled it, but that's fine. Werewolf After Dark.
What the fuck is that?
This is a 1 hour Christmas Halloween black and white horror movie. This is like very much, it is a Marvel movie made to look exactly like one of those old black and white like Universal monster movies. It's actually really good.
And what does that have to do with the MCU?
It was a Disney Plus show. Putting it in the not MCU tier. Same with I Am Groot. All right. Guardians of the Galaxy Halloween special or Christmas special.
Halloween. It was fun.
I liked it a lot. I thought the Kevin Bacon shenanigans was pretty good. I'm putting it in the bottom of all right tier.
Fair enough.
Ant-Man Quantum Mania.
Put that in the Eternals tier. Put that in the MODOK tier.
We're putting that in Eternals tier under She-Hulk, just so you guys are aware. Quantumania is worse than She-Hulk. Secret Invasion, it's bad. It's really bad. They took one of arguably the most interesting Marvel storylines and fucked it up horrifically. What the fuck is this? What is this? Craven? What?
Blade Craven?
Is there a Craven movie?
Probably a TV show.
There was a... There's a Craven movie coming out.
It's not even out?
It comes out next year. There's a
Why
trailer.
is this on the list? Why is this on the list?
It's technically not in the MCU yet, so fuck off. All right, I Am Groot Season 2. I don't care. And Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 are not in the MCU.
Alrighty.
All right, so this is our tier list. The Best Girls Episode 1 official, #official tier list.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to rank all of the non-MCU movies?
For funsies, why not?
All right, Spider-Man 1. The good Spider-Man 1.
I'd put it in second to top of all right.
Real. All right.
That or top.
I'm putting it top of all right. I'm something of a scientist myself. All right. All right. Spider-Man 2.
The Good Spider-Man 2, I'm assuming.
Yes.
That is Best Girl approved 100%.
I'm putting it at the top of Best Girl approved. I fucking adore that
Ah,
movie.
fuck it. Put Spider-Man 1 at the bottom of Best Girl approved.
All right. What about Spider-Man 3?
It's not good, but it's
It is,
fucking
though.
fun.
It's not good, but it is. Where are we putting it, babe?
If we're talking about purely from its like actual merits, it's not a good movie. It's watchable at best.
We're talking
However, it's meme
enjoyment.
worthy.
We're talking
Enjoyment,
enjoyment from the movies.
not a day goes by where I don't think about Spider-Man rubbing dirt in people's eyes and the Bully McGuire dance.
All right, we're going in Best Girl approved. You heard it here, guys.
Not a single day goes by without me thinking about that.
Not a single day goes by without me pretending to do the fucking Bully McGuire dance. I hate to break it to you.
This is something else.
This is something else. The Amazing Spider-Man, our Andrew Garfield edition. Book 1.
Watchable or bad.
I would put it at the top of bad.
No,
it's bottom of watchable. Spider-Man 2 is going fucking bottom of bad, though. Top of bad. The Gwen Stacy scene is the best part of that entire movie. And the Gwen Stacy scene is honestly better than anything in the first movie, too. The problem is the rest of that movie.
Ooh. No, this is
This one's all you, babe.
Oh, did you not watch Venom?
I haven't seen either Venoms. This one's all you.
Venom is bad. It is laughably bad. Get some friends, shit on the movie the entire time as you're watching it, and it is golden.
So what would you put this in?
If you're watching it by yourself, bad, maybe even awful. If you're watching it with some friends who, get a little drunk, get a little buzzed, and watching it, just taking the piss out of it, I'd put it very mid of all right.
Let's put it in the middle. We'll put it in watchable then.
All right.
We'll put it ahead of Amazing Spider-Man. We'll put it ahead of the Netflix shows.
I think that's a compromise I can live with.
Venom 2.
I didn't actually watch yet.
Awesome.
I've heard it's bad.
Wakanda Forever's here. Gotcha. I am Groot. I am Groot. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Who the fuck cares about Baby Groot? This is a Disney product. I don't care.
This is Baby Yoda syndrome.
Yeah. At least Baby Yoda doesn't get his own TV show. Except he
Yet.
did.
Yet.
Werewolf After Dark, or whatever it's fucking called. I would put that at the bottom of all right. Morbius.
Awful. Bottom of awful.
Bottom of awful. Not Eternals tier though.
Ooh, it's Eternals here. Honestly, you and I tried watching it, and we couldn't even make it past like the first 30 minutes.
Marvel Legends doesn't matter. Craven's not out yet. Deadpool 1. Ryan Reynolds in a red suit, number 1.
Oh, you?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I've seen bits and pieces of the second movie.
I think it's top of watchable. Deadpool 2? I would put in about the same spot. There are parts of both of those movies that are very funny. There are other parts where I'm just kind of sitting there like, that is disgusting, and I don't know why you put this in this movie. I don't like this. And then there's that part where in the second movie, the taxi driver kills the main bad guy, and that was the best joke out of both movies. So you know what? That's fine. All right. That is our official hashtag Best Girls official tier list.
Mm-hmm.
The only movies that we would personally recommend are all three Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Avengers 1, 3, and 4. Iron Man 1 and Thor 3. That is it. Shouldn't watch anything else. Just and watch them in this order specifically. It'll make more sense this way. Right? So watch Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2. Watch Spider-Man 2, then watch Infinity War, then watch Endgame, then Iron Man 1. Like, think of it as a flashback, right? Then Thor Ragnarok, then Avengers 1, then Spider-Man 1, and then Spider-Man 3. It'll make sense, I swear. But yeah, that's do you have any closing comments to say about this tier list?
It's perfect. There's basically nothing I would change.
Oh, really now?
There's basically nothing I would change because there's a lot of shit that I just haven't seen.
Fair enough. We're going to go ahead and save that. All right. So that is our tier list. Let me go ahead and move us back to the regular Best Girls, or the Blue Room. I think that was a, So, closing comment. If you were to boil it down to just a few sentences, why do you hate the MCU? Fuck, we didn't even get to talk about Phase 4.
Oh, fuck me. Are we gonna do that?
Oh, that's going to be part 2. All right. We're going to make
Fair
2
enough.
episodes out of this.
Fair enough. Closing thoughts. Basically, I just hate that the MCU changed the scape of cinema for better and for worse. For better, it made nerd culture a lot more accessible and a lot more appreciated, that people who were, considered normies, so to speak, were actually partaking in these things, and it served as a gateway for more nerd culture to sort of make its way into the stratosphere.
Without the MCU, I don't think stuff like I almost called it Elden Ring, Game of Thrones and stuff wouldn't have blown up as much as it has.
Or hell, even shit like anime. Like, do you remember back in like high school where we were kind of just like outcasts for even liking anime? Nobody talked about anime, or if they did, it was always about like
Naruto or Dragon Ball. Yeah,
the normie shit. People only talk about Attack on Titan or Dragon Ball or Full Metal Alchemist. Nobody talked about
Legend of Korra.
Nobody talked about Gurren Lagann. Nobody talked about
Code Geass.
Yeah. But I think that's some of the positive stuff that it did for, I hate just saying nerd culture, but some of the positive stuff that it did for nerd culture.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think some of the damage is irreparable, that things, movies, franchises have to now be planned out as their own cinematic universes. It has to be their own sagas. We can't just have, oh, fun Transformer movie. No, it has to be the new age of the new Transformers trilogy, and it's all going to be part of the Hasbro cinematic universe. Or Sonic. We can't just have one or two fun little Sonic movies. We have to do the post-credit scene. And that's another thing. Post-credit scenes. We are so conditioned as a society now that we will just sit in theaters or at the end of a movie waiting for that post credit scene. That's not normal.
Yeah. Like it's it's crazy to think, but like the things that what was it? Martin Scorsese were saying it, and he got like flamed online for it at the time. That like Marvel movies aren't inherently bad, but what is bad? I mean, unless it's one of the films or anyway, um, but like the idea of the franchise, or the idea of like the long running epics and stuff, like, because like we've had those in the past, fucking Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, were like a saga of story. Harry Potter, fuck that series, but still, like, we've had those in the past. But like, the problem that the MCU started in the films industry is it made it so much harder for smaller, low budget, more artistic films to make money, or to get budgets to even be made. Because now, because of the MCU, and because of just Disney basically owning the box office at this point.
Oh god, that's a whole fucking
Yeah. But like like Ren said, everything, in order to get a budget, in order to even get made, it has to be a part of a 10-year plan. It has to be from an existing franchise that can be spun out into TV shows and toys and 6 movies and a TV show and like all of in a video game and all of this stuff. Whereas before, it's like obviously you still get some of that. You still get like Taika Waititi is still doing some smaller movies. Like, he did Jojo Rabbit. He's doing the like soccer one that's coming out that I want to go see, and stuff like that. But like, it's so much harder, unless you're a big name like Taika Waititi or something, to get the budget and the money to make these style of movies now, unless it's a Batman movie, or a Marvel movie, or some big franchise name. And ultimately it creates that problem of monopolization, similar to like what I brought up. Disney just owns like 90% of the box office at any given time. You go to any movie theater at any time of the year, and chances are there's a Marvel movie, a Pixar movie, and a standard Disney movie playing in one way or another, or sometimes all three at the same time, all at once. And if it's not Disney, it's Paramount, or it's Transformers, or GI Joe, or any of the Disney properties, or the MCU, or Star Wars, or like, you don't really get to see the smaller movies, like, even like Barbie came out and was a huge success, and that movie was pretty good, but like, that's still, it's fucking Barbie. That's a huge name in media.
nobody do- nobody doesn't know what a Barbie is.
Exactly. And it's just like, you never hear the smaller movies get any media attention. Like, I'm sure the new Taika Waititi movie is going to come out and get super minimal attention. And that's Taika Waititi, and he's a pretty big director at this point. Meanwhile, fucking Oppenheimer comes out and goes crazy because it's a Chris Nolan film, right? Even though that movie is just old people talking in a room for 3 hours. Anyway, we're just now we're just ranting about the films industry at this point, and
This can be saved for part 2 of why
This can be saved for the Best Girls Podcast episode 2, Why Jade Hates the MCU. Um so yeah. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to all the patrons, of course, for being here and supporting the channel.
Mhm.
This, for those of you who don't know, this will go live on YouTube and to other platforms eventually. But my patrons do get access to the Best Girls podcast 2 weeks earlier than the rest of you. So if you guys are interested, check out the link. It'll be somewhere, regardless of where you're listening to this. Or just check out JadeNovanis on Patreon and you will find it as well. But yeah, $1 a month gets you at least 1 to 2 episodes per month, 2 weeks earlier than everyone else. Plus, you get extra bonuses. Like for today's episode, you guys will also get the I'll have a PNG of the tier list up and ready for you guys with a link to the tier list itself for you guys to make your own. But anywho's the what's it? Ren, would you like to shill anything while I'm finishing up here?
God, I have nothing to chill. I don't stream. I don't draw often enough that actually has finished products. What would I
Guys,
have to chill?
check out twitch.tv/FriendBestGirl. Send her a follow. Show her how much you guys want her to stream, and maybe that'll convince her to stream in the future. Otherwise, you can also catch her on my channel at twitch.tv/JadeNovanis as well.
Show some love, show some interest for Ren and why am I saying Ren like I'm somebody who isn't or her? Show some love for me, my art, and Jade and my eventual collaborative webcomic Cycle of Stars.
But until next time, our next episode might be Best Girls Live, but we will see about that. But anywho, thank you again to anyone and everyone who is here and watching. Have a lovely, lovely night. And we will see you all in the next Best Girls Podcast.
Bye.